All right.
The point is,
We're back.
And forth.
and
So we have to quickly address a hiatus that we've been on. All three of us have had the same cold, but not concurrently. It was
Stretched out for many
sequentially.
weeks.
Yeah. So that explains our long summer hiatus. And boy, have we enjoyed our summer colds.
so we've got some
fun.
new information now.
But this episode, first of all, I'm doing my little housekeeping on my list here. That's explaining our hiatus. Okay, guilt's over. We're working on more episodes and more people we're interviewing. We do have a lot of people that we've had to, due to the illness, postpone interviews with. But we do have an election coming up, and we're doing our best to try to get all of our candidates to those that will play here to come and talk about things on our forum. So we're trying to tentatively promise that somehow. But in the meantime, this episode is about a specific call to action. There is a important mining related event coming up that we need you, everyone point,
And you and you.
and you, the viewer or listener, to help us participate. There's a little mine in south of the Iron Range in a town called Tamarack, known as the Talon Mine.
It does not exist.
It does not exist, but they want it to exist, and they have a public comment period that is currently open as we speak, deep into the publication date of this episode.
I believe until September 14th.
Yeah. So when we get to that, I'll pull up this page here,
Sure.
and we can talk about when the dates are. But what we need to do in this episode, if you're listening, is we're going to talk about the status of Talon, what they're looking at for their project down there, and what we need the public to know. So, what do you think about that over there?
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
I would just start with this. That area around Tamarack, all the way from probably McGregor, Tamarack, up through Big Sandy, Minnewawa, Round Lake, as far over as Fond du Lac, for that matter, maybe even up to Floodwood, is very, very wet. We always talk about the boundary waters being so wet, and their fact is that the water table is about a foot underground in almost any of that country there.
Which is really to say that area is part of the 100-mile swamp.
Literally.
I mean that's that's not a disparaging term, because one of the best values of the northern Minnesota landscape is the peatlands.
Yeah.
And this unbroken peatland landscape exists only in a few other places, like Ireland and Russia, in Siberia, and parts of Canada, and here. And the value of it is that it's power for carbon sequestration. So that's important, especially this summer.
Global warming.
Yeah.
It's very healing.
So anyway, and water flows through it. I mean, that's part of this too. It benefits as it flows through it. It's purified. So it's more than just a swamp. Anyway, I don't think you were there with us.
I did not get down there.
Yeah, the two of us went to Talon had an open house, and so we went and investigated what they got down there. We poked around in their core shack in their garage, and we had a chat with their geologists, including their head geologist, who I fully expect will be watching this episode. So shout out to Brian Goldner.
Hey, Brian.
And so I will speak everything from here on out as if though I am speaking to Brian Goldner. That's helping myself to mind my manners. So what did we learn at that open house?
Quite a bit.
Yeah. Give us some broad strokes.
Well, the word of the day is pyrrhotite and bentlandite, the two main ores that are the source of their high grade nickel.
Right.
And pyrrhotite, it turns out, is a highly reactive form of iron sulfide that is much more reactive than iron pyrite.
Right. It's like
fool's gold.
it's like the mean biker gang version of iron pyrite.
Well, it's highly reactive,
Yeah.
and I've had some experience with this at Hale Gold Mine, and I've also talked to some blasting people that had trouble with it in Nevada. Actually getting so hot that it would detonate holes before they were ready.
Wow.
And then we saw a video of it.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, well, the reaction is it's kind of like, well, it's iron sulfide reacting with air and water.
Right. So like this smaller piece right here. Let's hold that one up. Yeah. Okay. So there. Okay. So we have some color in there. There's some green and some rusty color.
Right.
So that's the oxidation. And when we picked that rock up, it didn't look like that, but it's just reacted like that from being in the moist
It's like
air
it
in the
rusts
garage.
really fast.
Right. So this is lots of iron pyrite. This is a sample from up in Ely. What's the
Inco?
That's the Inco shaft. Over. Yeah. And
Test shaft.
the core samples at Talon are all stored in wax-covered cardboard boxes.
Well, they put wax on it so it doesn't
Oxidized.
start
right there.
burning.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is. So why would it start burning? I guess is the
Well-
obvious thing that we're trying to help people understand.
Yeah, so iron pyrite, regular fool's gold,
Fool's
or typically doesn't react like that.
It's in the taconite mines all over the place.
Right,
It's
it
all
is-
over the
it
ground.
is
We blast every time.
Yep. But the pyrrhotite's a different beast altogether. It's still iron sulfide, but it just has the tendency to take off in a very highly active oxidation, and it's caused a problem on the Iron Range already. And certainly, it's been showing up at the Dunker River overburden that they stripped. That was part of the Duluth complex, and it's part of North Shore Mine, where they pushed back and found the Virginia Formation, which is on the top of the Pulavic Iron Formation, that has a big swag of pyrrhotite in it. And this pyrrhotite is self-generating. It does produce lots of sulfate when it gets wet.
When you were talking about the boreholes, you're talking about where they're planning to blast, so they drill
Yeah.
a series, a pattern of boreholes,
Yeah, like a big
8,
sewing
10,
machine.
16
Yep.
inches,
Yeah.
and they get a couple holes ahead, and the blasters
Yeah.
are coming behind them and putting the charge down. And,
Yeah, they're 40 or 50 feet deep or so.
yeah, and about 5, 6 holes back after they've been primed and charged, they go off.
They get really hot.
Yeah.
Well, it isn't everywhere, but it is unusual when it happens.
Sure.
Yeah. And the concern is not that we're going to have blasting free ignition underground at Talon. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But
This is an anecdote to highlight that when rocks are reactive like this, they have the potential to cause problems.
this is one of these Pandora's box. Once you
Right.
open it, you'll never close it.
It'll never go close.
So a constituent, or the cause of, maybe that's a less highbrow way of saying, of acid mine drainage is pyrite, iron pyrite oxidizing. And pyrrhotite is the most
Well, it's
rapid, destructive source of acid
like
mine
the most.
drainage.
35 to 200 times
Right.
more active. Yeah. Than pyrite.
So what I've done is a little digging on just pyrrhotite. By the way, if I haven't done it already, I'll put the word on it because it's important. Everyone needs to know how to spell pyrrhotite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're challenged.
PYRR.
Yeah. It's
pure hole.
pyrrhotite.
Pure hole. Tight.
This is a map of. Here's.
Yes.
Let's transition the screen. Okay. So here is a map.
Look at all the pretty colors.
And big in this. We're getting there. Okay, here's a map from the USGS. First ever map of the mineral pyrrhotite and where it may occur. Okay, so here I am, kind of zoomed in on it a little bit. So the pyrrhotite. How did they phrase this? I can't read it. It's too little.
Well, the reason they made this map was
Pyrrhotite permissive geology. Yeah, I'll explain that. So
Okay.
pyrrhotite permissive geology in the United States is all the pink color. I guess it's pink. And the little dots or the little outlines are places where there is minedat.org. So minedat.org is a database of
mining.
Mining data.
Yeah, mining data. It's where it's been sampled. So there's a big amount of pyrrhotite going on here on the Appalachia region, which seems to be indicative of mountain building, or as they say in geology, an orogenous zone.
Yeah.
Orogenous.
Well,
Not
that was the ore
At Hale down here,
in South Carolina.
right there,
Yep.
and then some other sample sites.
Nevada's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nevada. These are young mountain building places.
Idaho.
And in Minnesota and here in Wisconsin and Keweenaw Peninsula, just kind of throwing this out there. I'm pretty close to the Flambeau mine, aren't I?
Yeah,
it's in this area.
It's all
It's further, isn't it, right here?
Yeah, it's a little bit farther west.
Okay, so it's somewhere over here.
No, farther west.
Oh, no, it's-
east rather. I'm sorry, east.
Oh, in other words,
Yeah.
it's in the pink
No,
zone.
it's north central Wisconsin.
yeah, it is in Wisconsin.
And the Eagle Mine is also in the pink zone.
Well, guess what? The Duluth complex there is a row of buttons there.
Yeah, so these buttons are all sample sites, and the Talon mine that we're talking about is roughly right here in this pink zone. Is that about right?
North of Mille Lacs somewhere.
Somewhere in here. Okay. You said why they made this map? Well, the reason they made this map is this is were you saying that this is the only map that they made that shows somewhere where not to go? Or?
Yeah, well, the guy that made the map was like, "This is incredible," but they want to know where it is so they can avoid.
Yeah, this is a map of places to avoid. To avoid what? Well, to avoid mining gravel.
Well, to make aggregate for
To
concrete.
make aggregate because of this well-known problem of pyrrhotite in concrete. Okay, so this is Northeast Realtors. Pyrrhotite is, if it gets into concrete, it causes a multi-step chemical reaction that causes the concrete to first crack and then swell, so the crack shrinks back together, and then it cracks again because of
It gets water in it.
yeah, because of how the pyrrhotite creates several different chemical constituents that.
That's not caustic at all, is it?
Yeah,
Wow.
it does bad things.
Some fun stuff.
So FEMA has also published a case study on this.
FEMA.
This is the learning objective. What we need to learn here
crumbling
is the
concrete.
crumbling concrete foundations in thousands of residential homes, and it was also in
Looks like our house.
large buildings and apartment buildings. So anyway, 34,000 homes constructed
in
in
Connecticut.
Connecticut between 1983 and the year
Wow.
2000 may have concrete foundations containing pyrrhotite and are at risk of cracking and crumbling. So this is the point of the map here.
So they were short on aggregate, and they just went
They
after.
just went in.
Whatever's available.
So anyway, the point of that is another anecdote, including that pyrrhotite can spontaneously combust. There is a little video on the internet. I might put a little link in the inset or something that shows pyrrhotite just reacting in the sunlight from
It just got exposed to air, and
to
they
a
just
little air
dug
and
it out.
starts
and
smoking.
well, the whole pile. Yeah.
Yeah.
The gas coming off of it, of course, at that point.
This is because the
Hydrogen sulfide.
oxidation reaction is so exothermic that it was creating heat. That's not the mechanism that causes the concrete to crack. That's a different one. By the way, the study that was talking about the concrete cracking, they were unsure of how much pyrrhotite, but they were saying it was not very much. We read that real quick. It was like
Then I saw something like 2% or something.
So pyrrhotite, we've already run into it with taconite.
so. Can you run down where it is on the Iron Range?
Yep. So the first place it was discovered, at least in significant quantities to pollute is at Dunker River. They stripped off and put 50 million tons of Duluth complex on top of a big pile to move it out of the way.
And we've talked about that in past episodes
Yeah.
of how that's part of the Sports Fishermen's Congress.
Yeah, so it's been
Yeah.
bleeding into Burge Lake since the 1960s. The next big function that we've seen that's more modern is in 2014, North Shore Mining at Cleveland Cliffs North Shore got a permit
And that as part of that, it's layered with the Virginia Formation, and there's a geologic paper.
Yeah, with the Boabic Iron Formation right at the very top is a layer called the Virginia
Right.
Formation, and it's got scads of pyrrhotite. in
And
it.
I remember reading in that geologic report something like "Do not expose."
Oh yeah,
this- yeah.
it's really bad. Once you've opened
Right.
it up, Katie bar the door, you're gonna have a heck of a time to try to seal it off.
I mean, in our studies, we never found an antidote to it being exposed. I mean, they
No.
got that one rock face
Right.
up at the Dunka is
Right.
Right.
just still sitting there and
Right.
exposed into air.
And so yeah,
The really the appropriate reaction or appropriate handling of pyrrhotite is to treat it like nuclear waste.
well somehow you gotta seal it. How are you gonna
Right.
do that?
So you can't seal it in concrete.
You have to use clay or something.
But it cannot it's you can get it exposed to the air if it's just sitting there, but as soon as you
Water
have a
gets it.
fluid that
Yeah, carries
carries
it.
it, then it's all over.
Right.
So if you're encountering a zone of pyrrhotite and you are promising not to have any environmental impact at all, holy cow,
Yeah,
you have a
that's-
challenge on
Well,
your
the
hands.
entire Duluth complex would be
We have questions.
right.
So let's go back to what we learned at Talon when we were at their open
right.
house.
So we learned that the main ore is pyrrhotite and bandlintite.
Yeah, so I'm going to put a picture here of a sample that they were proud to show us.
The belt buckle.
Yeah, and this is a core sample, and it shows a yellow line. It's like that bubble shape, right? And it's a cross section. And the way that this was explained was that this bubble is formed when the melt. So this geology existed, and interestingly, the head geologist there, Brian, was explaining that this type of mineralization happens underneath a jungle ecosystem. So this is back when the Iron Range was, continental drift. This is back down when the Iron Range was by the equator. Anyway, then the Duluth complex came in, and that was a crack in the Earth's crust, and a huge geologic huge lava flow, right? And while that lava was flowing over the surface of the Iron Range before it had formed, it was melting everything underneath. And in that melt that cooled very slowly, because the Duluth complex was a huge thick band of lava that was flowed over everything, it precipitated out the nickel out of the pyrrhotite. So in this picture that I'm hopefully showing on screen, all of the yellow part is the nickel that the Talon mine is after, but everything else in that bar is pyrrhotite. And that's terrifying.
So,
So-
underground, you'd have
Yeah.
an encounter with this as you're mining it, right?
It's going to be everywhere. You're going to be in pyrrhotite. Like, in other words,
Inside of it.
It seems like the majority of the waste rock that's coming out of Talon is going to be a pyrrhotite, like pure pyrrhotite. If there was any use for it, then that's what they should be mining
we would
instead.
just use it for concrete or something. you
Yeah,
know?
right. Well, that's another thing.
Oh
is
wait,
that
no, you can't.
this is an underground operation,
Right.
and they're planning on what you do in modern underground mining is you use shotcrete.
Yeah, well, it's the ground support. Yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, even if you use steel, you'll have to use stainless
Yeah,
steel
you have
rock
a-
bolts.
You have an
Good
anecdote
Lord.
with steel surviving an exposure to pyrite, and
The bolts at the cave-in at the Eagle Mine
yeah.
rotted off, and the
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
odds are that was
Yeah.
the pyrrhotite
was
had
a
rotted the steel bolts off.
pyrrhotite. Yeah. So this is the thing. I know that we're kind of rambling about pyrrhotite, but this is really, really critically
It's
important.
dead serious.
So I'm going to reiterate that the point of this information is that we're trying to help prepare the public to make a comment. And I think my take on this is this mine cannot happen. And the reason is the risk is so high for a huge environmental problem. And in the mine plan that they've submitted to comment on, they have provided no good faith attempt to mitigate this serious issue of pyrrhotite contaminating their groundwater.
So what could possibly go wrong?
Well, they've made in their plan, right? They haven't done anything that would. Let's see if I'm trying to be accurate, so I'm not making stuff up. Let's say, what if they have a catastrophic 500-year flood event? Do they have no contingency for what they're going to do with overflow water?
Yeah. So
Okay. What about
you need a big pond or something to carry it all in, so you could eventually run it through a water treatment plant.
right? They don't have any pond planned and water treatment. I think in their plan they just made some comment about in the future they could use RO or resin column, but they're not planning it.
So underground, well, in the surface too. Any mine operation is a huge capital investment, right? So economically, the amount of return on investment is going to be maximized. That's just what you do when you do this mine model. So you have early onset cutoff grades that are higher than maybe later, and so you're going to high grade and get the highest grade material out first. That's just the way the cost works.
Let me try to reiterate, see if I understand what you're saying. When you're planning a mine, okay, in my head I'm picturing that the geologist has made a map of the ore body.
Yep.
Okay.
And the engineers figured out
and what
the economy.
What I've understood from us talking is that geology in the ground isn't like Minecraft, where I know that's the weirdest analogy, but it's true that I think people think about mining like Minecraft, where you mine to the ore and you chip it out and then you extract it and that's it. But the truth is that the ore is like a continuous grade where the highest concentration is the center of the ore body, and it gradually, as you move away from it, there's still
becomes
ore.
more diluted.
Yeah, it dilutes in the bedrock, in the parent rock, so that you'll have a rich
high grade zone.
But then as you get further away from it, the concentration of ore decrease. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say cutoff grade, what you're talking about is the grade, the concentration of valuable mineral ore, the nickel, in the bedrock that would be, it's the cutoff. It's an economic term.
Right.
So it's the point at which there's no benefit to mining it anymore. Even though there's valuable ore in that rock to extract, the cost to extract it and blast it, pull it out of the ground and process it is too high.
Or you want to mine it later when so
when you got more of your bills paid down, isn't that correct?
That's the idea.
Because you've got a junior mine.
Right.
So when you've got this material exposed in the underground face, there may not be enough of it at that point to continue in that direction, and so you leave it, and then you go off to go take the high grade stuff.
Yeah. So we've seen this in the taconite mine in every iteration. Like a good example is just when they switched to natural ore. I mean, that would be a cutoff grade, more or less, for the in general understand. I know that's not technically correct.
Yeah. So the way,
but in other words, we mined a rich ore and then came back to less rich ore later.
So the way the mine modeler works, and that would be me, is you look at a certain block size of material, like say 50 foot or on a side, a block. and you've got a drill hole that you can indicate what material is in there, what the value is, and you also know how many blocks of waste rock you have to go through to get to the high grade zone. And so that's where you come up with this mine plan, right?
Because you're mining the waste rock in addition to the valuable rock. You can't just dig a narrow tunnel to the. You have to get the waste rock out of the way.
Right. Albeit that the geologist doesn't want you to do that. It just somehow it just works out that way.
You have to drive the truck to it somehow.
And not only that, but every once in a while, there may not be enough information from all these holes that you've drilled, and you get to where you think it's the high grade.
Right.
And
because they say something about like every model is inaccurate or something, but
it's the best you can do.
Or every model is wrong, but all models are useful. Something like that.
Well, so the idea is that at some point you're going to have a very active mineral in the face of your mine access.
Right.
That you're going to have to put ground support in to hold it up because it's going to be crumbling and falling apart.
By active, you mean like
in
crumbly
sulfide,
and
active,
and
right.
sulfide. So you're gonna find the hot ore with the as the core sample shows. You're gonna find that bright nickel, and then everything around it is the.
So you're gonna drill a hole
pure
there,
type.
and you're gonna slam a rock bolt in there and expect it to hold up,
To not dissolve.
But then you're gonna spray some shotcrete on there and try to hold it up.
Well, and
And the pyrrhotite will rot away the shotcrete.
all the homeowners
And the bolts.
all the homeowners here in Connecticut, Massachusetts.
Yeah. So the idea being is that you really can't turn this thing off once you've started.
Sure, right? Because you can't hide the. Yeah, it's best to think of it like nuclear waste.
Well, it's an active zone at that point once you've exposed it.
Right.
And you're going to continually expose it until you find, this mother lode that Brian's talking about. What's this raptor zone, raptor head thing, or whatever it is? It's not the primary target. They're after something in the vault zone of some order of magnitude that's way bigger. It's the feeder, the feedstock for this zone that they're after. So this 10 million tons of stuff that they're going to take out is the teaser, the tickler, or something.
Wait, so that's what their plan is 10 million tons?
I think somewhere in that range.
Yeah. So let's talk more about their mine plan again. So they're planning on removing 10 million tons. They're planning on doing this underground. From your experience, what are the obvious things that are missing in their plan?
Well, water treatment is going to be a huge problem.
You're talking about water treatment.
Exposed underground sulfide materials in the walls. In the back, you got some ground support.
So their plan is missing what to do about. I'm trying to add more to words to what you're saying.
Well, it could be like hydrogen sulfide gas problem,
Oh, sure.
because you're going to be generating this hydrogen sulfide in the reaction.
Yeah. So we got.
And we're really not sure that it isn't going to heat up and detonate blast holes.
So what would they need in their plan to deal with that contingency? Like what should someone be looking for?
Well, a good faith attempt at trying to convince us that they know what they're doing with this pyrrhotite.
Yeah, like where else have they dealt with this in the world?
Well, there's lots of places we just saw how it destroys concrete everywhere.
Right.
I don't think there's a single place on the planet where they've actually mined any mineral with pyrrhotite in it that hasn't escaped into the environment.
I think that's kind of what I've noticed is that most of the worst environmental mine disasters are pyrrhotite related.
We're right. We don't have to prove it first. We just go to Dunker River, and it's been sitting there cooking for a long time. And I think Julie Lucas said something about, well, it just was permitted before my time. Well, it hasn't been fixed in our time either, and that's the damnedest thing, I guess, is that we just sit there and watch it cook off. And if we can't solve a stupid problem like 50 million tons of Duluth complex sitting at Duluth
Already in
River,
one pile.
Right.
how
It's
in the-
there.
how
yeah.
in the we can't even tie our own sulfide shoes at this point.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this point about this mine in Talon and the importance of the public comment period. That recently this summer in Minnesota, or this spring, we've seen that the boundary waters now is open to essentially an exposure to upstream mining. And I think that the general public, the average Minnesotan is pretty concerned about that.
Pretty much the general public does not know that we've been doing that for 70 years.
Yeah, in
Right through up the Cowish River
Right.
into the boundary waters.
in the form of
and up the
taconite.
Vermilion River
Yeah.
into Voyageurs National Park with taconite mining.
Right,
There is no copper sulfide nickel mining
right.
in Minnesota at all, anywhere right now.
To make a tangent here is that the opening up the boundary waters mining ban corridor was essentially opening up the potential for copper nickel mines to be operating in that area. And the geology that produces copper and nickel is the same geology as we've been talking about that creates pyrrhotite.
Well, pyrrhotite is nickel indicative.
Yeah, right.
Nickel tends, if you find pyrrhotite,
support-
there's probably nickel there.
Yeah, it supports the
Right.
formation of
Or
nickel.
copper,
Yeah,
yes.
or copper. So I'm making this point to say that there's been a huge amount of concern and attention on the boundary waters. Now, this mine in Talon has largely gone unnoticed. And I think as a result, I would say it might have a better chance of getting permitted just because it's, they're permitting a smaller area and it's less well known. But the risk of an environmental disaster from this mine is far higher than even in the boundary waters because
It's a different ore.
it's a different ore. I mean, it's the hottest. Oh, I mean, this is like pure TNT.
Yes, this is from
Yeah.
the Maturi deposit where
Right.
Twin Metals wants to go. This is not pyrrhotite.
No, that's just regular iron pyrite.
Well, it's nickel and copper. But it's a different gabbro.
Right.
The significant aspect of Twin Metals and Antofagasta is that they don't have any other underground mines. This would
Okay,
be their,
anywhere
this would
in the
be their
world.
first gig.
I need you to say that again cleaner here.
Yeah.
One more time.
So
This is what we've discovered.
they've hired some people that are experts from Nevada and whatnot, and that's great. How much does it rain in Nevada? Anyway,
Yeah. So what you're saying is this is Antofagasta. This is Antofagasta's
Does
first.
not all their mining is open pit.
This is their first
This
underground
would be
mine.
their first.
And we're talking about the Twin Metals mine
right,
yeah,
right.
at the edge of the boundary waters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So I guess that everybody's first attempt at.
Let's go have a beer and then open up an underground mine, you and me, okay?
Well, it's nothing.
Have you
more than
ever
a
done it
parking
before?
ramp.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it can't
all.
be hard to
Piece
do.
of cake.
Well, you,
Just
You don't need
bring
to
a
know anything,
flashlight, you
nothing
know?
special.
actually, you've already done it before, though.
Well, yeah.
So
I mean,
Yeah.
I have some idea on how things might not work out so well.
Oh, you know-
The problem is they don't have the this level of wisdom at the CEO and the chairman. Well, their family, right? So
which one are we
doesn't matter.
talking about now?
Twin Metals.
Oh,
and,
yeah. They don't have a gray beard. That,
Greg looks. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, let's go back to
Yeah,
Talon.
we got to get back to Talon because that's
Yeah,
where
that-
the open.
So this,
So I don't think Brian Goldner's ever put a cap lamp on either.
So I'm going to talk about my experience with Brian Goldner in as objective terms as possible. I had a good time talking with him, and I appreciate that he talked to us.
Yeah, and candidly, it
Yeah.
was a good tete-a-tete.
But I wasn't given a lot of confidence that he has any empathy for anything that could go wrong.
Oh, he's after the mother lode.
Right. I think that's the kindest way of putting it, is that Brian Goldner does not care about anything else except for making sure that he's the one who finds
Oh yeah.
this glory of geology, this phenomenon that's
Eureka, we
yeah.
found it. Yeah.
And what he was talking about is legitimately interesting. It's kind of this he and I were nerding out, about geology, but this deposit at Talon, this nickel deposit, represents the way he said it. It's smoke, right? And what he was referring to is the plume of lava that came up underground. That was the Duluth complex. It kind of fans off at the top, right? And that little smoke, those little tiny fingers of lava, are where that nickel-rich
The Raptor Zone.
melt was that solidified into nickel. And so what the Raptor Zone is one of those little tiny little things. So the rest of this blob of rich, mineral-rich magma that came up is yet to be discovered. Brian Goldner wants to be the one to find it.
Well, he acted like he had an idea of
I think he knows.
well, he's like a prospector panning
Oh, yeah.
upstream looking for where the big mother lode is.
And he's a smart guy. I'm confident he'll find it if he wants to. But the issue isn't if Brian Goldner can find his, or prove his thesis. The issue is, do the people who live in this area want to support this attempt, or are they comfortable with this risk? And this is what I could not get Brian to see or care about or even speak to, and that's why I'm using some kind of harsh language about him, and why I have sort of a I'm going to say sour taste in my mouth after having that discussion. Is I just am not confident that he's going to do anything to make sure or to be careful that nothing goes wrong.
Well,
So I'm saying this is my editorialization, and I'm saying this to inform the listener that I will be putting that in my public comment. I'm not going to say that you should do it too, but I am not confident that anyone in charge at Talon is confidently going to be able to prevent and do everything they can to make it right. I think that they're going to manage problems by pretending they don't exist.
Well, that's the micro project size that they're trying
Right.
to.
When I told them that I know that you're trying to get a permit for a small area, and I said Minnesota's permitting process is famous for
Permitting this little dot
Yeah.
and letting you go.
for
Once you got your
what do they call it? It's an amended permit or expanded
right.
permit for doing an expanded permit with no environmental impact study. He laughed at me and told me I was ignorant, even though that's what every mine has done here so far.
well, that's their intention there
And that's the intention there because
they're looking for the mother lode.
they've absolutely turned that area into Swiss cheese with drill holes.
Now, speaking of those drill holes,
Okay, so we're going to switch topics. So I've editorialized about Brian Goldner. Let's talk about drill holes real quick.
if they were really concerned about sulfide contamination, if they were really concerned, they would have done the same thing that we did down at Hale Gold Mine in South Carolina.
Right.
Every core drill sump that they would drill is full of mud that's been ground up from this rock that they pull out.
Right.
And it isn't clear to me at all that they have any formula to neutralize this sulfate with any kind of egg lime.
Right. Or containment of the material that comes out.
Right. And so at Hale, they had a formula, and they'd figure out how many feet they were drilling in the sulfide zone, and then calculate how many bags of lime they needed and dump that in there, and then use the backhoe and stir it up to neutralize it. And I haven't seen any indication that they've done anything like that at all, which leads me to believe that they really don't understand anything about pyrrhotite or how it's going to react.
Or they don't care.
Well,
To the listener, he's referring to when he worked at Hale Gold Mine in South Carolina, and they were in a high sulfate ore body.
Very high.
It had a lot of pyrrhotite.
Just like this
It had
place.
pyrrhotite. And so to mitigate the pyrrhotite, you're talking about using a basic substance. So egg lime.
Yeah,
or
hydrated lime.
Slacked lime.
Right.
To create a buffer to neutralize the
Yeah,
acid.
well, the calcium in the lime would dye up the sulfate ion.
So what we're referring to with drill cores is at Talon's drill library or drill shed, core shed, right? It's just a garage full of core samples, and each one is about 3 inches diameter. When you drill that core drill, the cuttings, the dust that's created from the rock it drills
Mud,
through,
yeah.
it comes up out of the hole to get out of the way. It's flushed out with water, and all of that mud is sampled. Usually they use that as part of their sample for their building their maps and for geologic study. And when it comes out of the hole, what we're saying is we're suspecting that they're just leaving it on the ground.
I haven't heard that they've done anything to neutralize
Right.
it.
And there's plenty of sites all around the Talon area, the Tamarack area, around McGregor there, where you can go out in the woods and find a drill site. And they put pads down, they use drill pads, and they pick them up when they're done. So there's lots of pictures that they've shown of putting these sites back. But there's a lot more pictures on the internet that show that they haven't done anything. And there's a lot of dead trees in that area, which would be indicative of sulfate contamination.
Or lightning strike.
So this is if you want to talk about prove it first again, this is an example of how this is an opportunity for them to show a above and beyond attempt to do something right and respect the task ahead of them is serious, and they're not doing that. They're not
Egregiously not doing
they're
it.
not taking the extra steps to be cautious.
This is a normal step. This is done worldwide. This is not just...
In fact, that's how I would characterize everything about this, and I would say this about Brian Goldner's ambitions: reckless. This is reckless.
This is totally indicative of everything that was said about the Flambeau mine. That they would do everything
Right to the T.
right.
Speaking of which, so they're using the Flambeau mine as an example of the plan that they intend to follow for mine reclamation and mitigation. And
So-
we've done an episode, and we'll probably do more in the future, on how everything about that went wrong.
Well, the biggest problem is that the manager was given carte blanche to simply take a shortcut at the end.
Right.
And all the material that the type 2 sulfides that they'd put on a liner
This is at
so
Flambeau.
nothing could ever go wrong.
Right.
They had all 180,000 tons of crap in their water treatment pond. They just put the dozers in there and shoved it in the hole without any...
So in other words, that happened. This is something that happened
it's
in
getting
like
me
an
upset.
afternoon. Yeah.
It was in the fall, and they were afraid that...
or some moment, some couple days in time years ago at the Flambeau mine, this plan that was supposed to be done orderly and carefully was done haphazardly because the oversight was lacking.
Well, they pulled the pumps out because the water treatment plant was down, and what are you going to do right next to a river? Of course, it's going to fill up. So the manager's going, oh my God, and throws all the dozers in there and shoves it in the hole.
But what I'm trying to emphasize is that the reason that happened was someone who had made a plan, didn't plan for every contingency that would go wrong, or someone who had made a plan that was a good plan, failed to make sure that it was executed correctly.
Yep.
So just looking for methods of oversight, third-party oversight, regulators that are welcome in to do inspections,
The neighbors.
Yeah, making sure that there's like safety margins that are like double and triple. Those are things that I would expect to see in the Talon mine plan.
Some way to assure us that
Right.
that when they hit this belt buckle looking stuff in the wall of that they're not just going to walk away.
Right. So
And
So I'm going to say it's not in the plan. I got to say, too, that I read the first plan, and then you've read the second plan, the more recently updated submitted one. When was the first mine plan that Talon submitted?
The first one I saw was 23, I think.
Okay, yeah, or 23 or 24? I thought it was 24. So 2020.
It was when they were talking about Beertite
Yeah.
and their first modeling. And
So I'm saying this because I didn't see anything different.
um,
Did you?
Yeah, the thing that's different, it doesn't look like they're going to be using a tunnel boring machine.
Oh, so they're doing that. That was expensive. They're not doing that.
Well, there's a reason why you would do it, but okay. Oh,
Well, you wouldn't do it if you're trying to depend on concrete casing.
well, the idea was to freeze their way through. They put in pipes and they're freezing
and
around.
cryo. Yeah,
Yep,
use liquid
yeah,
nitrogen to freeze it.
No, they just use normal refrigerators.
Oh,
stuff.
and brine.
I think it's ammonia or
Yeah.
something. They use some kind of. Anyways,
Anyway, yeah.
so they're going to try to do a wet entry, is what I would call it. I'm sorry to say this, but
There you go. Public comment done.
so the idea being that somehow they're going to be able to hold back the darkness while they're driving the light. I don't know. I don't see that they've got. It's a really tricky thing to drive a decline down through a bunch of gravel in a 100% wet zone. The only way you could do it is you'd have to put dozens of drill holes ahead of you and de-water it and try to pump,
Right. That's another aspect to this is that the east side of the Iron Range is pretty hard rock
So
underground, but
so-
this is all glacial till.
So the way they're going to try to
Right,
get out of it is they're going to drill lots of wells just outside of the area where they're going to be mining.
And do a lot of pumping.
Well, not just pumping, but pumping water that's natural water, that's non-contact water.
Okay, so let's describe contact water. Just
So the contact water would be the water that's shows up in the ditch in the
right.
mine where you're
It's
working.
the water that's rinsed through the ore.
That's
and
high
has the-
sulfate.
Yeah, and the water that has the potential to be
Right.
exposed to sulfate,
So-
and water that could carry carry pollutants downstream.
Right. So the idea is that if you drill enough holes around the outside perimeter, just outside, and de-water this ahead of time, it's just natural water, and you can just pump it down to Black Lakes, and nobody should say anything.
So, hold on. But the water table. What did you say, Mike? Water table is like,
It's a foot.
but it's like a foot for like miles.
Well, exactly.
So
100 miles
so
across.
you draw down this huge basin of
Well, how
water.
else are you going to do it?
You have to
Everything else is going to be contact water.
Here's something that I've been bothered with a lot, and we
You-
have never gotten to this.
Do you want to hold this up to the?
Here's the surface.
Do you want to?
Yeah. Here's the surface of the earth down there.
Yeah.
You'll see the next line down is 1 foot down. That's the water table. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I got it.
Okay, so then I got a line down about here's someplace
Okay.
where I'm saying, what do we got? Bedrock down
bedrock.
here? I have no idea what this distance is, but it's all water and till.
Yeah. It's
till.
saturated water.
Where's the nickel?
I think it's about 70 feet to bedrock. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Could
on
be.
That, on that side of
Yeah.
the range. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no,
the-
I mean at Talon.
Yeah. There.
Yeah.
What's the? Do you remember what the depth of their? They were gonna. It wasn't that deep, was it? How deep they're? Like I don't know where the Raptor Zone or wherever
Oh,
deep those are.
um,
Their cores aren't that deep.
You
But
see,
in other words,
you
the-
see my question
I
here.
thought they were going down around.
If you
1,500
drill a
feet.
drill hole through
Oh.
this stuff, that is going to forever be pouring water into the drill hole.
Okay, so Mike's making a good point. So to find the Raptor Zone, like you just said, I don't know if you heard it, but it's about 1,500 feet down.
It's down something like
Yeah, and so Mike, you're making a point about what happens when you puncture and make a water table permeable.
And this is just
Yeah.
the surface water.
Right.
Where's the aquifer?
Right. So the now all of the water through the method of via drill core, all of the water in the area has the potential of contacting your your high
disturbance.
sulfide. Yeah.
Oh no, it would just be just outside.
Oh no. Well, I mean, but if you haven't drilled there,
It's very expensive putting all your water through a water treatment plant.
And that volume of water, man, how many acre miles?
well, what Mike is talking about is when you don't seal a drill hole.
Oh my word!
Yeah,
oh,
that's what he's-
You wouldn't.
Oh, I don't mean just that. I'm talking about you're going to drive a truck down this
Oh, right,
descent
yeah.
now.
Oh
Right,
yeah, yeah.
right.
How do you break through a hole that big and not have water go down
Yeah,
it
right.
in any way, shape, or form?
Right.
How does that happen?
So
So you're going to have to be pumping water forever, and it's going to be coming through pyrrhotite.
So could we talk about Talon was in the news at one point because their estimate for how much water use that they were going to use was rather high.
I think the last I heard was somewhere around 900 gallons a minute that they thought they would have underground.
What was their
Talking to their new guy that
what
wasn't supposed to say anything.
what was the let's see if I can find that.
There's a difference between there's a category of different types of water. There's rainwater. There's water in the stream and the lakes, and then there's water that's pumped out of a well. There's water that's pumped out of your underground mine, which would be contact water. There's water called processed water, which is what's coming out from underneath all the taconite.
It goes up the belt. It goes out in the pipes, out to the tailings reservoirs. It's pumped back in and used again. But like, there's very little discussion of water.
Right.
So,
These are the categories that are in permits, and this is how they describe how they treat it. The treatment for non-contact water or non-processed water is to simply get a NPDES discharge permit and say, "Oh, we're going to dump it all down this ditch."
Yeah.
And you just start drilling holes like a sewing machine, and you just pump the entire area dry around where you're going to mine, and you avoid the classification of contact water, so you don't need to have water treatment plant.
what did you say? What was their estimate for how many gallons?
I thought he guessed around 900. And I was saying, well, yeah, that's maybe after it's all dried out.
Wait, 900
gallons a minute.
a minute. Oh, okay.
I told him that I thought it would be around 2,000.
A minute. So this is a document that they published in 2001. No, 2021. Oh, I'm not used to that. They were estimating average of 2.3 million to 2.6 million gallons per day.
What's that divided by?
I gotta do math.
24
many?
times 12, or 60 times 24.
This is taking a long time to make this particular point. So this is in 2021. They're estimating 2.3. I don't know which way you're
About
using.
2,000 gallons a minute.
Use the low estimate to give them a chance. 2.3 million
Wait,
gallons. Million. You got to add more zeros there. Okay. Let me make my point, and then we'll discuss the numbers. In 2021, Talon estimated lowest estimate.
that's 1,600 gallons a minute.
Okay, so they estimated that they would be pumping 2.3 million gallons a day, 1,600 gallons a minute.
And I guessed around 2,000.
In 2025, they made a new estimate that indicated, as I'm reading here, a preliminary peak life of mine inflow simulation of 259,000 to 504,000 gallons per day.
It's about 1/10.
Yeah. So in other words, they made an estimate of 1,600 gallons a day, or
Minute.
1,600 gallons a minute, 2.3 million gallons a day that they would be pumping out. As Mike, you were describing in your diagram there, that's how much water they're pumping out.
They have to run through a water treatment plant.
Yeah. And then 4 years later, they said, no, we're going to estimate about a tenth of that. Okay. So I'm making this point to highlight the fact that it seems that they were at one point aware that they're going to be dealing with a lot of water. And then they walked it back, and they haven't given an explanation for why it's suddenly less.
Ooh, I can tell you.
What do you think?
They are going to dewater the pit or dewater the mine by drilling a series of holes around their work area.
So is that not part of their mine plan then?
Well,
Is that just going to happen?
this gets you out of having to treat contact water, and that's the big expense here.
But isn't it going to be contact water if you start drilling?
What do you think?
I think that this
Drill
is a
hole, the
bad
aquifer
plan.
pours into it, and it's bringing all the dissolved. It's dissolving as it comes out. It's
Yeah.
dissolving all the minerals and heavy metals and pyrrhotite
Now,
in
we,
the hole.
We haven't talked about heavy metals.
So let's say I have a well here. It's just a shallow,
Well.
but it's right next to the Whitney tailings pond, right?
Oh, well.
Well, how many times have you heard somebody describe how they're drilling a well to get good water?
Oh, man, we
And
have.
so you drill down and
yeah.
you're not in the right zone, and so you go a little
Yeah.
bit further, and finally you're down at 260 feet, and you got sweet water.
Yeah, it's clear and it's rock
What-
filtered.
it looks
so-
just like water.
I'm
Are they
thirsty.
gonna be able to say, well, we're just
Well-
pumping natural water out of the ground, and oops, I'm sorry, it's got all this other crap in it, but it's not contact water
Well, let me
didn't come out of the hole.
let me
It came from around it.
That's
let
going
me
to have to be
phrase
another-
it like this.
Do you think that would be a possibility that they would try to get
You
away?
could, they could sell that fairy tale to somebody. That could
So-
be, if it was not litigated, that may succeed.
Yeah. So let me
Well,
say it
that's
like
what I would try to do.
we say it like this. What the public comment period is for a permit that the DNR is issuing, correct?
Yeah.
So it would be maybe important to have in that permit, if we're talking about this much water, some sort of contingency to deal with if the natural water is contaminated with some unforeseen contaminant.
Over 10 milligrams
Right.
per liter.
So, in other words, what this would look like is that water that's pumped, not directly related to mining activity, should be tested and monitored, right? And if a contaminant is found, then there's the contingency of how to treat and contain it would be,
So,
right?
Minnesota has a clever way of dealing with this. It's called a water transfer.
Ah, okay. That means that, yeah.
They don't have to sample.
You don't have to sample it.
So, for the listener, if you're keeping up with us, let's try to put this together here so we can help out our listener after an hour of this. I think this is a problem.
Here's what
So how are we gonna
something I
describe
found,
it?
Andy. You might want to add this to the.
Oh.
So,
to the
you would describe it this way, that there's different,
Oh, yeah. We'll
Types
talk.
of water.
I'll add that part.
and if
We'll add it up front here.
if the mining company is trying to reduce their water treatment pollutant
expense.
by dewatering the mine itself, these dewatering wells have to comply with all of the drinking water conditions that you would expect from drilling a well for
Sure, yeah.
domestic
Right.
use.
There are already a lot of domestic wells in that area.
Right. Oh, yeah. A lot
That
of
would be a good baseline.
but,
think
they're
I'll-
not, but they're not 2,000
Exactly.
feet deep
They
right
haven't
in the high
penetrated.
grade zone of
You're exactly
the
right.
raptor zone.
Right.
And I think that would be the key way I would describe it, that this water that's going to be pumped out for dewatering the mine zone needs to comply with drinking water standards.
That would be something I would personally look for in the DNR's plan.
So
Maybe if it's there, I would make
that would be a
I'd make a comment about it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about. I want to talk about one more thing about this mine.
Otherwise, we're getting
I want to talk about when. Remind me again about that, Mike. Let me do it right now.
Yeah, goes to September 14th at 4:30 p.m.
Yep. So what we're talking about is this public comment period.
That's what this whole podcast is about.
And so it's ongoing and it ends
September 14th,
September 14th
2026.
at 4:30. So you can submit your comments online. I'll have a link.
And
Below.
we'll continue this conversation.
Yeah, I'm going to keep talking, but I just want to show. Okay.
We should have their Talon's report
Yeah.
out in the link as well.
This is where
Well,
you submit
in the-
your comment. You go to the DNR's website, and I'll have this link down below, and you can read their draft scope decision document. This is what the DNR is asking you to comment on, and you click here, and you can put your. It brings you up to another page, and it just has you enter your name. This is completely safe. I've done it hundreds of times. Oh, I haven't, but I've done it a few times. But that's how I want to. That's my one use of hyperbole today, and then you make your comment. Now, a little tip here is that don't type your comment in this all at once. Type it in another document and copy and paste it. You can also add a file if you want to talk more. Or you want to add pictures or something. You can click upload a file, and then it does that. Oh, it shows my desktop.
We could have them put our podcast.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but anyway,
I would look at this at that scoping data with a very critical eye and ask your own questions.
Right.
There are no dumb questions here. We're trying to help educate people to. You can sometimes be too unknowledgeable to not even know what question to ask.
Right.
So that's what we are doing here is trying to educate people to the point
from
where
the insider's expert
right.
right. perspective.
And frankly, I hate to say this, but I'm a little distrustful. Okay, I'm very distrustful of all this kind of stuff because I've seen the effects here, and
Well, I guess what we've really seen is not one case of a good faith attempt to mitigate a problem.
yeah,
In other words, we've seen just. I'd say the only this is another commentary on the mining industry here is that I've only ever seen them put effort into litigating to get out of compliance. They've spent a lot of money on lawyers,
yeah.
And
Or-
paying fines.
or to request variances on the one place on the Iron Range where there's an actual sulfate limit that's site specific.
Well, and these companies are it's important to them to shield their shareholders from a lot of this information as well.
Right.
Maybe not so much with a new company like this where they are going to be scrutinized, hopefully intensely.
It's a startup too. I mean, that's the other part of this.
But
it's
in
a startup mine.
my part of the operations up here with Taconite and the negotiations, we found out that shielding the shareholders is less important after you've been in business for a number of years.
Right.
They start to lose interest, and you can get away with some things.
They're grandfathered in.
I'm not being
Yeah.
funny about that.
It's true.
I have a very interesting story about that. We'll cover it in a different podcast.
So, last topic on our list here, I wrote this feasibility of mining a small nickel deposit. So, this is the last thing that Brian Goldner and I were talking about. And he pushed back on it, I think, pretty defensively and not convincingly. And that is that their claim is that this is going to be a very small mine. And they're permitting a very small area, and this is just going to go after this one little deposit. Now, I said to him, your permit that you're trying to your mine submission it seems disconnected to the reality of what you're trying to do, And there's a lot of different reasons why. One of them is that we're talking about the reality of having to pump so much water, but another one is that in order to pay for this mine, you're going to have to mine a lot of good ore out of the ground to make this profitable, let alone feasible. And this is nickel. This is not gold. This is not diamonds. It is even. It's not even.
Rhodesium?
No, it's not even oil. It's nickel.
Where are you going to take it anyway?
So recently we just found out one of the statistics for e-waste recycling in the state of Minnesota. We only recycle 24% of all the e-waste. In other words, that means that all of the e-waste, all the circuit boards, the source or the end point of where this nickel would go into electronics is in the landfills.
3 out of 4 pounds
Yeah.
of electronic waste is sitting right there in the landfill.
So if it was this valuable that we have to have this mine to do this, I would think that the first place we would be mining this stuff is the landfills.
It's not 3,000 feet underground.
No, it's in the landfill, and it's mining. I mean, it's underground, and the idea that it's another talking point that Brian Goldner gave me was that this is a critical mineral and it's important for national security. And I said, okay, yeah, but critical mineral implies that it is scarce and vital. And copper is neither, nickel is neither scarce nor vital. We have lots of alternative uses for it, and we have lots of it. And I said that the most important way, the most effective way that we can have a secure source of this was by soft power influences and trade partners. I mean, this is a really fundamental lesson that our country learned as a result of the Cold War, that what's the opposite of soft power? Hard power. This adversarial power of military buildup is so costly and so ineffective overall that it's not a way to guarantee a secure supply of this stuff, of whatever it is. It's not a smart way. It's not an effective way, and it's absolutely not an argument to be made to justify this.
Well, what about this better in our backyard thing?
Well, there's lots of arguments against that.
You want pyrrhotite in your backyard?
The best argument I have against that is what is the name of the company that is mining in the third world and employing child labor that we're trying to prevent?
Rio Tinto?
Oh, damn.
Well, you mean that company that's called Red River?
What's the name? Just for our listeners that are catching up, what's the name of the company that wants to open the mine in Talon?
Red River, Rio Tinto.
Okay. Anyway,
And it's an offshore Caribbean company.
if
Margaritaville, right?
if this is as political as I'm going to get for now, if we actually cared about children in the third world's welfare, then
we would get USAID going again.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're at a good time here. Have we hit all of our talking points so
Thanks
far?
for bearing with us.
Well, we've got a lead into our next episode to talk about how do you mine underground without getting wet.
You mean you can do it? You tell us how? Stay tuned.
Magic?
Yes.
Thank you for listening to our little podcast, User Mind. My name is Andy.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Mike.
Really appreciate all of your attention. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
How to mine underground without getting wet.
Ask about the water. Always ask about